So I'm at Kroger. I'm picking up a prescription. I got insurance. Last time I was here, I didn't have insurance, and they gave me this discount card, and it was $25. So I'm like, heck, I got insurance. Let's see what the deal is this time. Maybe it'll be better. And they run it, and they tell me with insurance, which is a really expensive insurance plan, it's
Hey,
$105.
Segovia, back with another video. Hope everyone out there is having a good day. We're back on this beautiful Monday with another one coming up for you guys. Another hour banger. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's not waste no time. Let's cut the chit chat and let's get into it. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show.
Eerie, so I'm not okay. So the fact that everyone saw that Denver airport lady basically get on her knees and like beg the cops to listen to her because something about like her daughter being like held hostage or something, but she had to like deliver the message that like that there were going to be like imminent attacks soon, and then everyone seemed to like brush it off, at least in that clip. And then today we get the news that there were there were incidents, seemingly terror related incidents, in both Denver and Boulder, Colorado. I feel like the timing is way too coincidental for it not to be related to that airport lady's warnings, because she was literally in Denver airport when she said that. I mean, like, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not gonna say that those two are related inherently, because I don't know. I don't know anything. I just like link those two events in my mind. I don't know though. The time is a little too coincidental for me.
Thank you. I have to finish this. My kid's life in danger if I didn't say this. I have been kidnapped, me and my kids. Today will be a worse day than 9/11 attack. This is an act of war at United States of America. This piece of shit woman thinks she knows what's happening. We have programmed her to be loyal and stupid enough to follow our rules. Not only to know how to run away if she got caught, but also to explode an airplane like a pro. We have a weapon that you don't have, Americans. And we are getting USA on the knees. China, Europe, Middle East, Japan are all one hand against USA, and this stupid running woman thinks she can save you by providing information that she is trying to provide and nobody listening to her. You are losing that war since 9/11 already. The last airplane, the helicopter that got fall down, it wasn't an accident. I know who did it. Please, they are taking video. Please go away from the video, please, ma'am. Please, this is for my safety. I am a U.S. citizen. Why is that for
I wish I had my gun with me. I'd do it.
Pretty bad.
We're fucking gone.
Stay.
Why are we in trouble? Well, we're in trouble because all creatures are well built for the environments in which we evolved. And human beings suffer from something that my wife Heather and I in our book call hyper-novelty. So novelty is the state of something being not what you are evolutionarily prepared for. And human beings are very good at dealing with novelty. But what we're doing in the present is we're creating a rate of change that is so rapid that there is no conceivable way for us to keep up. We cannot adapt fast enough to keep up with the novel influences that we are forcing upon ourselves. And what that means is that with each passing year, we end up ever more poorly adapted to the life that we have to lead. And it's gotten so bad that the environments that we live in as adults don't even resemble the environments that existed for adults when we were kids. The reason that human beings have a longer developmental period than any other creature that has ever existed on this planet is that you need a long developmental period for us to acquire the insight and the nuance in order to be a functional adult. That program doesn't work if the environment in which you are picking up those lessons is unrelated to the environment in which you have to do the adult stuff. It's a non sequitur. So that's why we're in trouble. We have technologies that are powerful enough to destroy us. We have processes that we have unleashed, the consequences of which we can scarcely imagine. And as these things proliferate, the number of existential threats to humanity is just simply growing. We have to rein in that problem. The proliferation of existential threats means that the moment at which we blink out as a species is getting closer. If it isn't this that takes us out, it'll be that. We have to arrest that process.
The Bible said, do not put your trust in men. It's pretty specific. Why? Because everybody can be compromised except you. If you don't believe in God, then it's pretty messed up, because now you only got you to believe in. But if you got you and God, you can believe in both of those. And understand it's the reason that it's special is because only you're gonna know. I talk to God 5 and 6 times a day. He has an accurate account of how I'm feeling about everything, how I think things are going, what I feel like I'm doing good at, what I feel like I need help with. These are our conversations. So I don't wonder why stuff gets moved out of my way, because I asked for things to be moved out of my way. Like you asked earlier, like, aren't you scared? Like, I'm not allowed to be scared because I'm not counting on me. Like, you can't fuck me up because you're not allowed to fuck me up. And I've been in enough situations to know that he ain't let me down yet.
Portlanders, on this question, I've been out here for 4 years. How do y'all walk past the homelessness situation on a daily basis and just kind of like act like, oh, you know, that's normal, it happens in every city, and not let it affect your mental deep down subconsciously, especially whenever they have animals that, like, you can clearly see that these people are abusing their bodies and drugs and probably not taking the greatest care of their animals. I know they get fed, blah, 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 but let's be real. It's hard for me to just walk by that temporarily, let alone if you were sitting by it on a daily basis. That would affect your mental. Now imagine what that's going on inside the animal's head. I don't know. That's the way I think. How do y'all do it?
While dear, sweet Senator Joni Ernst is telling you, her constituents, that we're all going to die, Joni gets a food allowance, a per diem, every day for food. $68 a day. And in places where food costs more, she gets $92 a day. But Joni said, you're gonna die because you can't have SNAP and we've got to cut Medicaid. We can't do this, people. We've got to fight back.
So I was watching my Candace Owens, and I noticed something about him. I'm wondering if anyone else will notice.
I want to focus on how these surveillance technologies are already here in America, and how you are already being watched, catalogued, and prepared for this Orwellian future that they have planned. Right now, Palantir is working with ICE to use its biometric and facial recognition capabilities to track and deport illegal immigrants.
If you haven't noticed,
that's always how they start.
He does not blink.
Most of us already want gone.
He may move his eyes side to side, but he does not blink. And the underwhites show this whole time. That's not a blink when you look down.
Finally, a real-life witch comes out talking about the situation with Jay-Z and Marina Abramovic.
When she says mix fresh breast milk with
Breast milk.
fresh sperm.
Oh, she is doing root work then. So that's a form of root work.
So is this a good witch or a bad witch?
I can't tell you what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing it for. So I
You
can't
see why I be scared?
Jay-Z hang out with spirit cooking Marina Abramovic that does these blood cannibal things.
She's a witch.
She's a what? Yes, she is. Yes, she
And
is.
he sat there and gave frontal lobe to frontal lobe, which is third eye to third eye, which says, I welcome you into my spirit. I welcome whatever is inhabiting you. I welcome it into me.
It's a
Jay-Z has been relying on witchcraft for a long time.
Hey, the famous music artist whose name rhymes with pity and a basketball player whose name rhymes with Haman Bames did the deed.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, so allegedly, Pity and Jabron Lames have done the deed, and there's an audio of it out there, and it is haunting.
Why is it that everything I've learned about this case has been so without my consent and just entirely an uncomfortable experience?
Hey, I'm Bailey Sieber, and I admitted on camera that I used witchcraft when I was a teenager on Mustin Bieber, and it worked. And I still use witchcraft today. So isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? And how we're all blaming Justin Bieber for his mental breakdown, but I'm the one that's using witchcraft? Isn't that weird?
One battle at a time. Okay, I don't know how, but I feel like Pity planned this, because like this is what he likes to do. He likes to make people uncomfortable and exert power over them, and everything that I've learned about this case I did not want to know, and somehow it just keeps getting worse and even more disgusting, and I feel like this is his final hurrah.
In 1966, a well-known scientist released a book with information that could impact everyone on Earth. But before anyone could read it, it was classified by the CIA. We only learned about it a few years ago when it was declassified. But the CIA only released 57 pages of the original 284-page manuscript. And those pages have been, in the CIA's own words, sanitized. Now, why does the CIA think this book is so dangerous that they had to hide it from the public for 60 years and continue to hide most of it? Well, it's because the man who wrote it describes the end of the world.
People think of me in a certain way based on what they have seen. Y'all can't read these words, but I'm gonna read them to you. And he put out right before he died. He said, I'm ready to die and nobody can save me. Biting the bats' heads off, drinking blood, urine, all that stuff in the concerts, basically just devil worshiping. He said, but it's coming for the African American kids. Bizzy Bone came out talking about the Mr. Ouija. It was written backwards. And you hold it up to the mirror and it was a confession that you speak. They opened up our community to that spirit. Wow. Now when you see young black men, they look totally different now. But God showed me that in the 80s. People thought I was crazy. Black folks ain't gonna worship the devil. No way.
Meaning, if we were to go back to where hip-hop was at its inception, would it then be acceptable?
Not at all. Hip-hop was corrupt in its creation. African Bambaataa went to Africa and he learned the ways of the Zulus. The Zulus are into ancestral worship. People's like, oh no, it's just beats. And if you know anything about frequency, you know that it's never just beats.
What do you think about the feminization of men in hip-hop? You got rappers wearing skirts and dresses.
These guys are taught by Aleister Crowley to channel spirits from the flood. Nephilim were used to getting praise and worship.
You see this movie Sinners just came out?
Some people can watch it and it won't do anything, but some people can watch it and have an open door. It's the difference to me between Christian hip-hop and Christian rap.
There's a culture that's attached to it.
There's a spirit attached to it. I've been addressed by the spirit. This guy was shy, timid. He was like mousy. After we had dealt with the demons of his wife, he manifested. When this spirit manifested, he sat back on the chair. He had a toothpick in his mouth and he sat back on the chair. I said, you know who I am? He said, yeah, I know who you are. You're chosen. I said, chosen for what? He said, to deal with me. I said, well, what's your name? He said, hip hop. If you take his riches, you owe him something. There has to be a rite of passage.
Oh my gosh.
I tried to warn the church. You sell your soul to the devil, you owe the devil your soul.
Even if Jesus never bowed his head, if he accepted the perks that the enemy offered, it's as good as worship.
Beyonce had to go to her to get her womb unlocked. The 3 women that were over BLM, they're lesbian witches. And they were doing Yoruba ceremonies in the streets.
God wants you to know that he is far from done with you. He's commissioned, licensed you, not just for then, but for now. He chose you.
I'm gonna be honest. They told me that this might not even happen. I was like, okay, good. I know God spoke to you. It just gets tough. That guy was 30. This guy's 55. It's totally different. I'm on every believer's side.
You are looking at the actual hand of God. If anybody needed encouragement today, this is going to be it. So this story comes from Amanda Foster. She posted this absolutely incredible picture of her ultrasound to her social media account, and of course it has been blowing up. She said, each time before ultrasounds, I've dropped to my knees right in the doctor's office to pray over Kyler. In my prayers for him, I've asked the Lord repeatedly to please keep his hand on my baby and whatever his plan may be to help me trust fully in it at ease. At an ultrasound yesterday, my youngest daughter Bailey was the first to notice it and asked me whose hand that was, then Kyle. But in one of his pictures, it had the appearance of a hand holding his head. This is such a beautiful reminder, y'all, that we are his children. We are precious to God. He loves us more than we could ever imagine. Psalm 139 says, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it well. This life gets heavy, but no matter what you are dealing with right now, no matter what you are carrying, God can handle it. God is bigger than whatever issue you are facing right now. He is our Father, and we are his children. So whatever you are worrying about today, whatever you are carrying, whatever you are struggling with, run to him with it. Lay it at his feet because he loves you and his arms are wide open.
Are convicted in their belief. And so, to Jack's point about using some of the lie detection technology, particularly for eyewitnesses, not only can we put information in without blowing up your brain, we can put it in and then you can believe it so sincerely that the problem is you can testify to that effect. And in fact, we've seen this in a number of ways. The police were doing lineups where the suggestibility of the information was so strong that people would later identify a person that they'd seen. For example, you show a picture lineup and only one person has on a jacket and nobody else does. And then when you go to the live lineup, because your brain triggered that there was something different about that person, you identify the person who you've just seen, but not realizing that it's because of some difference. And then you've seen them twice, and now you're asked to testify as an eyewitness, and you're so convicted about having seen that person commit the crime, even though that person's utterly innocent, that it becomes a planted memory. And so there's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context, one of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law neuroscience is pain detection. And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many coercive measures in the legal system as well? So,
Pryor, right? When he had his special back in 1977, there's a scene. They only allowed him to do 5 shows. In fact, they were rather ignorant because it took them 5 shows to realize what the brother was really doing. Richard Pryor, there's a scene where he goes in to the pyramids.
Professor! I got it open!
And he is carrying the bags of the archaeologists and the anthropologists who are of European descent. And they're talking amongst themselves about what this find is and its importance, the greatness of it.
Great Scott, we've discovered the fountain of all knowledge of Egypt in the entire world. Do you realize the importance of this moment, Smedley?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you see the brilliance, the untold years?
I see it, sir.
And Richard Pryor is in this temple looking all around.
and he begins to say, but all these people are black. He said, look at that guy over there. That guy look like my uncle.
Look, what is this? This can't be, man. What? You know what this is? What is it, Buddha? It's the book of life. Book of life. In the beginning, when man arrived on Earth, the black gods did leave their spacecraft, and they walked, and they named the beasts of the sea and the animals of the land. Heavens. And man in his blackness did walk the earth, making medicine. Medicine? They discovered time.
And he's just, you know, I mean, it's humorous, but what Richard Pryor is actually talking about is that, you know, these are black people in these pyramids, and these are the people that built these pyramids.
These were all black people got down. Wait a minute. There ain't nothing in here about whitey. This is ours, Jack. Wait till the brothers hear this. Buddha. I'm gonna get this book out of here, baby. This tells me real cheap. Buddha, control yourself, don't you see? What you mean, Jack? Look at this here. Black people started the music and the brain surgery back in the year 3 BC. Yes, of course, Buddha.
Man, they was getting down. He said, wait a minute, these people... And then all of a sudden, the camera begins to show the anthropologists of European descent, and they start to nudge each other because they realize, hey, you know, the guy carrying the bags is looking around and he's learning some things in here. So very quietly, you see them backing out of the pyramid, right? And Richard Pryor is still there talking about how great the pyramid is, and then all of a sudden, they show you the door close, and all of a sudden the scene goes black. Which means that was the blackout on the information for black folk to understand their history. This is what Richard Pryor was dropping on us in 1977. This is what actually has happened. Richard was telling us, this is what has happened to us. Because as you become conscious and brother becomes conscious, and as a community we become conscious, the Europeans who know this are beginning to realize. So they're trying to shut the door on us.
Get the bulldozers, there's nothing here. But. Shut up! Good heavens, time for tea, eh? What?
That's true. So, you know what? I'm going to do Adam 22 like that. Chad, should I tell my story about Adam 22? Should I say it? Yes. Okay, so look. Adam 22 did my first tour when I was 16, and we would go on tours, bring girls back, girls that were the same age as me when I was 16, and he was fucking 16-year-olds. So he has a lot of allegations right now going on against him, whatever, but that's karma, nigga. You keep talking shit about me, I'm gonna keep on putting you on blast, nigga, because you were fucking 16-year-olds with me, you little bitch. Don't fucking lie, nigga, and I got proof, nigga. I probably got videos on my phone that I could pull up, but I'm not gonna do it on stream.
After the Titanic went down, they offered claims. It never sunk. Yes, it did. It's gone. It sank right to the bottom of the ocean. That's the first I knew of it. I thought the other thing was, I only thought she sprang a leak. Well, she had a 300-foot gash in her. She had a pretty good leak. Did she really sink? She sank. As far as we know, she sank. That's the first I knew of that.
What's crazy is barely anybody's talking about just how bad the wildfires are in Canada right now. This, by the way, is smoke that's coming to the East Coast and the Midwest from Canada. I mean, they are calling for the next few summers to be so hot that so much of the living life in this earth will not even be living anymore. What blows my mind is just all the fires that we have seen in the last few months, knowing that it's not summer yet, and completely not related, completely irrelevant. This also comes at a time of possibly Canada's, or United States' acquisition of Canada, maybe. We'll see. Them possibly joining the United States because they want this golden dome that they are making, allegedly. But I mean, I showed you all of the smoke funneling down through the United States from these fires. Only half of them are contained. I think like 17,000 to 18,000 people have been evacuated because of these fires. The question is, where do these fires keep coming from? It's not hot yet, you guys. I mean, technically it is pretty hot. Parts of California up to 110 a day or two ago. Not only are we going to be blasted by the Canada smoke plume, we're also going to be blasted by desert sand, desert dust was Saudi Arabia. I don't know. Isn't that insane? At the same time, by the way, that air quality is going to be no joke. And right after, it appears so far as if we do have our first hurricane, Alvin. A few different models are showing it going right up. And one model shows it heading right to where Helene, well, I'm not going to say the name of the places. Keep in mind the weather temperatures we've been seeing in Florida. Maybe the doomsday fish and the gray man at Polly's Island, maybe all of that was actually talking about something. Go figure, right?
Now, Arizona yesterday on the 1st just got rain. The first time it's rained on June 1st, I believe in 110 years, y'all. They got rain. I got rain where I'm at. Last night, very bad wind, very bad rain, and all morning it was raining. I mean, I ain't complaining. I've needed rain. Haven't had a real rainstorm since like October, but still, the fact that Arizona hasn't had rain on June 1st, maybe not the whole state of Arizona, but Phoenix, 110 years, y'all. 110 years. Crazy things are happening. Cat's got my tongue
I have
today.
no clue what type of phenomenon is this that appears in central London last night, 5 minutes to 9 in the evening, London time. This was during my live stream. To me, it looks like an alien spaceship. And then it's out of the blue, the shape's changed to like an apple. Look at it. Can anyone explain? Or if you live in central London, did you witness, look at the sky and seeing this apart from me during my live stream? It's so weird. The shape is, I can't explain it. All I can think of is like an apple shape or something else. It's definitely some kind of phenomenon. I don't know. What is this? Can anyone explain? JSM here, share your thoughts.
You have no idea how weird and evil this world truly is until you've been targeted. It's in fact so weird that it is unbelievable to 99% of the population. They don't even believe it.
You notice they don't even talk about the war on drugs no more? You think that's because there ain't no more war? Or there ain't no more drugs? They don't tell us shit. They don't talk about drugs no more. Because for the first time in history, black people ain't making none of the drugs. Look at white people. What? Yep, I know white people, you find what I'm saying hard to believe. I'm gonna tell you a statistic that's gonna blow your fucking mind. There are 0 niggas making fentanyl.
You see how the other son is happy, able to move on after the dad is gone, able to get a girl, get a house. He's untouched. That's really his dad. Quincy can never go be happy. Because the person that got control over him, once a man submit to another man, once you submit to another man, you are now beta male. You are now the store runner. Clean my shoes. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna beat you the fuck up. You can't beat me. You can't do nothing. You're dependent of me. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, the kid, man, I've seen it before. So I'm not gonna say I don't want to put people. I've seen it before. Highest level of grooming. I guarantee that kid be 30, 40 years old with no kids come. Unless he see this video and intentionally make one.
So you mean to tell me that y'all are just now finding out that your people are not really in caskets? I'll wait. Because even at a young age, when I was growing up, I understood the reason why people decided to be cremated. I understood the assignment. I really did. Do you think that 2025 only matters when a person passes away? Just think about for centuries, and I'm talking about eons, right? I'm talking about going back to 1800s, 1600s, 1500s, 1400s, and I'm probably skipping gears, but I'm talking about going way back then, right? Think about how many people have passed away. Think about that, y'all. I don't want to say too much, but y'all know what movie that really exposed what they're doing? Y'all know what movie I'm talking about. I don't want to say it, but if you know, you know. That movie exposed so many things. Even the KFC commercial. Y'all seen that? The whole time you go into a funeral and you thinking your loved one is in that casket, and when that funeral is over, baby, y'all spend all this money on these caskets and your people are not even buried in them. There's no more room. So it's like, it's either they under the ground or they're just in the grocery store in the meat section. I said what I said. I said what I said. It's either you regurgitate all the shit you ate or just stop eating it.
What if I told you the Taylor Swift Scooter Braun feud wasn't about good versus evil, but rather about creating $2 billion empires? Okay, just a quick recap. Back in 2019, music exec Scooter Braun bought all of Taylor Swift's albums and masters from her record label. And then a year later, he resold it to Shamrock Capital, which is a private equity group owned by Disney. This then led to Taylor re-recording her old albums, calling the new versions Taylor's version, and told her legion of fans to stream this version in order to spite Scooter. The feuding then continued on for a couple more years until just a couple days ago when Taylor posted this letter on her website announcing to the public that she had reacquired the rights to all of her original masters. Good on her. I think most people are very happy for her. But here's the part that nobody's talking about. First, Shamrock Capital made a great deal from a private equity perspective. Based on reports, Shamrock first bought Taylor's masters for $300 million back in late 2020, early 2021. The sale price back to Taylor was reported at $360 million. And each year, it was estimated that Shamrock made about $30 million licensing Taylor Swift's music. So doing the math, they bought it for $300 million, sold it for $360 million, so that's about a $60 million profit. Plus, they generated about $100 million in positive cash flow while they were holding it. That's about an 18% return, which by all private equity standards is a fantastic investment. But the genius of this feud is that instead of just one revenue stream for her music, it generated two. Because on the other side, Taylor also made out really well, with Bloomberg estimating the value of Taylor's recordings since 2019, which includes all of her re-recorded albums, to be about $400 million. And then she parlayed this feud into her brand as being this sort of underdog artist going up against the big bad music industry machine, which I think arguably added another interesting layer to her era's tour popularity and making her the first ever billionaire artist. But here's the kicker. You'll never believe who the person was that was behind the scenes helping broker this deal.
Scooter.
That's right, none other than Scooter Braun himself.
He's a little
Yes,
rat.
while grown adults are literally crying tears of joy for Taylor Swift and also recording themselves doing it, let me just take a second to remind people that the real winners are the business geniuses that turned a public feud into billion-dollar empires.
How do you feel about the beer companies that pulled the commercial you endorsed because of your anti-Jew lyrics?
Well,
Anti-Semitic lyrics would be a nicer way of putting it.
Well, the lyrics aren't really anti-Semitic, and I can't understand. You know, I listen to people like the Simon Wiesenthal and Rabbi Cooper, and am I getting this wrong? Are they saying that they condone what Jerry Heller or some of these other people have done to me? Do they say that it's all right for Jewish managers to get young black kids with talent off the street without without lawyers and without people that was helping me in my benefit to make records? That's what I'm getting out of this, and I really would like to speak to Rabbi Cooper about that, you know, because maybe, you know, if they're getting mixed messages on that side of the table, I'm kind of getting mixed messages on this side of the table, too.
We're talking about the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which said that your album should not be distributed and that people should not listen to it.
For people to think that I'm talking about one man that happens to be Jewish. If this man was green, then I would still talk about it. If he was black, I would still talk about him.
I guess what hurts Jewish people is the fact that you have to say he's Jewish. Why not just say Jerry Heller?
Well,
you know, what you end up doing is saying, okay, this guy's a Jew.
How do you...
They're addicted to hot bean water.
Wait, what?
Yeah, humans boil beans, drink the water, and think it gives them powers.
Bean water? Powers?
Apparently they wake up tired, even after hours of sleep.
So they sleep, but it doesn't work?
Exactly. So they drink bean juice to feel alive.
And it works?
Not really, because if you speak to them before bean juice, they malfunction.
What do you mean, malfunction?
They literally say, "Don't talk to me before my coffee."
And everyone accepts this?
Yeah, they call it a personality trait.
Humans are so weird.
Dude, just wait till I tell you about avocado toast.
I have an addiction to this bean juice, this coffee, right? It slows me down so much in my morning. Every day, not every day, but I pretty much say, tomorrow, I'm not going to drink coffee. I'm going to just drink 1 cup of coffee. I drink 3 cups of coffee, which takes me 2 or 3 hours to sip on that coffee. By then, the baby's up. Like, I'm in here doing this video. The baby's asleep. I keep looking back. Like, that's one bad habit I need to fix, right? It's always something. It's always something. First it was drinking, then it was eating, then it's coffee. Like, it's always something, y'all. And that coffee really slows me down. Really, really does, y'all. Does it slow you guys down? Are you guys addicted to this coffee like I am? Let me know down below. Cat's got my tongue today, y'all. I don't know why I can't talk. The thoughts ain't coming to me. It's a withdrawal day, y'all. It's a withdrawal day. Had a long weekend of a lot of carbs, a lot of junk. I'm withdrawing right now, y'all.
There's an old saying that the devil has always been the church's best friend because he's kept them in business. And I think, yeah, like you're saying, they've picked me to be that. But I don't mind the protesting. I just wish that they would get the facts straight because they think that I do a lot of things. But I'm really about individuality, and that's really the bottom line.
I think you guys have it totally backward. You guys have it totally backward. You're saying that the church needs people like Marilyn and other people to stay in business when actually Marilyn wouldn't even exist.
Manson.
Well, Brian, if we really want to get real here, because that's his real name, that's what his mama named him. But the point is that his
do you call
album
him
is
Cassius
called
Clay, too?
Anti-Christ. But he would respond. But you know what? Even the name of his album, Anti-Christ Superstar. If there was no Christ, there would, Christ he needs Christ to stay in business. Because if he's trying to push the envelope against whom? And that's the whole point. I think that when people are talking about
Christ
they show up,
really a metaphor
but they show up at these concerts and they protest. I think it's a sad commentary when we have put it on the slate that only the Christian right thinks that there's something wrong here. I don't know.
Now, there are rumors about what you do, and then there's the reality of what you do. There are, for example, you do rip pages out of the Bible in your concert. You do wipe your ass with the American flag. Some of these things, you have to admit, are controversial.
Absolutely.
I mean,
they're designed to make people think, but the point with a Bible or a flag is to say it's only as valid as you make it in your heart. A piece of paper.
It's all about perception, isn't it, Marilyn?
A piece of paper or a piece of cloth doesn't mean anything. It's what you believe. And I want people to think about what they believe. I want them to consider if everything they've been taught, if that's what they want to believe or that's what they've been told that they have to believe.
But I agree with that. In the sense, I do agree with that point in the sense that I have more respect, and some people, you hear me out when you hear this, so I have more respect for this young man than I have for the majority of people in this country. Because 86% of Americans claim to be Christian, Judeo-Christian, whatever else, and they're not. They're hypocrites. But the point is that when I see this young man, it does draw a line in the standard. We need to realize we are in a cultural war, and everyone wants to straddle the fence. Either you are Antichrist or you are Christ. It's as simple as that. Either there are standards or there are not.
In us?
guys think it's a coincidence that the East Coast lately, with all these solar flares and everyone's telling you look at the sun, that the East Coast has been blanketed with fucking clouds, rainstorms all weekend? Supposedly about to have a crazy aurora, but I can't see shit because of clouds. And oh yeah, that's still happening. But you understand what I'm saying? I think that's weird. Also, it's fucking June. New Jersey is 60 degrees. 60. It's June. I don't know. Again, I'm crazy.
Have you seen the Blizzard, when that guy takes the Blizzard from Dunkin' Donuts and he puts like the clear cup next to it so you can see how much sugar?
Yes.
It's 183 grams of sugar. Okay, so this is it. Look at that stack of sugar cubes. That is so bananas. So it's 34 teaspoons or 51.5 cubes of sugar. Holy Jesus.
Is the sun dying? I'm not even kidding. This right here is not what you've been seeing all over your feed today and yesterday. Maybe Nibiru, whatever that red orb is. This is what I got on the way home today. Look at the halo that's around the freaking sun. Like, this is the sun, because I can show you the sunspots on it. So it is for sure the sun. Maybe the master card was not about Nibiru at all. Hear me on this. Is it possible that the powers that be know that the sun was eventually going to unalive? This video behind me is not related whatsoever, completely irrelevant, just for your attention while I speak. And thus maybe the solar flares were not solar at all. It may be the whole world just lies in anticipation that the sun's eventually, gonna go dark, maybe even scorch men on the earth, That was weird. I don't know if y'all caught what was just behind my head a second ago, but that was crazy. Not playing whatsoever. Almost like a symbolic parallel of the Bible. Completely unrelated. Did I show you guys where all the plants in my yard were just burning and hotter than pavement itself? I mean, that's wild. It's green. Completely unrelated again. It's just wild how terrible I feel when there's a solar flare going on. It's really bad, you guys. I could barely even walk last night. My head was so full. Anyways, things are strikingly biblical right now, wouldn't you say? One thing is certain. I'm 31 years old. I've seen the sun, like 10,000 times? Never has it had a halo like that. Or anything else I mentioned in this video. Let me know what y'all think below.
Kobe Bryant was a lover of Persian military history. Now, going back thousands of years within the Persian antiquity of war, many of the soldiers would replicate a certain animal that they would cut open, place its blood on its chest, on its breastplate, and would suck the blood before going into battle. Kobe Bryant did that with his jersey.
Right.
So not just the Persian soldiers, but the soldiers during the Greek and Roman empires. They wanted to replicate a black mamba. They wanted to replicate a cobra by extracting not just the venom, but the blood to put it on their chests, the breastplates, to suck it during battle so they could replicate the mamba. Kobe did this during those games, his jersey.
Do you think he did it consciously?
He did it consciously.
He knew about it.
He knew about it. He absolutely knew about it.
He did always used to do that.
The West are the only people who have ever been confused about what a woman is, what her job is, what she's meant to do, where she comes from, where she needs to go. The only people who have ever been confused about that are in the West. Especially in our world, we've always known what a woman is, what her duty is, how she is to be honored, cherished, protected, so on and so forth, and all of her rights. We've never been confused about that. It's not a thing that comes from our side.
We got volcanoes, we got terrorist attacks. Is that the third terrorist attack in America this year? Rainstorms that haven't happened in 110 years. It's crazy, yo.
Friend, look at this. I never thought what could be under these racks at the grocery store. But look at this. This is roaches. So you better believe that the very next time I'm at the grocery store, I'm checking.
Adam and Eve ate from the tree of what?
The knowledge of good and evil.
Right. So before they ate from that tree, they didn't have an understanding of good and evil, did they?
But they were given the command not to eat from that tree.
So See, here's the thing. I just asked a very specific question that's going to expose the flaw in your thinking, and instead of answering it, you answered a different question. So here we go. Before they ate from the tree, did they know right from wrong?
No.
Okay, if they didn't know right from wrong, how could they possibly know that it was wrong to disobey God and eat from that tree?
If I tell my child not to do something.
I'm sorry, Marjorie, your child already knows right from wrong. Adam and Eve did not know right from wrong. How can you punish someone for doing something wrong if they didn't know it was wrong?
Yeah, just let that marinate in your spirit, bro.
I had a rapper hit me up lately that told me a secret about Diddy, and needless to say, my mind is blown. This rapper, which I'm obviously not going to say his name out loud, hit me up as of lately about my past posts involving the dark side of the hip-hop industry. And he insisted on filling me in on a lot of information about Diddy that definitely confirmed a lot of theories for me. He urged me to tread carefully when making this video, but honestly, it's just too good not to tell people about. Anyways, he showed me where he's been investing over the course of the last decade in certain stock for 2 specific companies that used to be connected to an organization that's called Clonaid? Never heard about it before he told me about it, but when I looked into it, I was definitely astonished. But he had a lot more to say about his personal experiences of seeing different rappers and influential people in our society have, let's just say, different versions of themselves. Shit, he even stated that he has one and alleged that you can see certain imperfections. But ironically, all the individuals of which he told me about that allegedly have one themselves used to have, let's just say, black eyes, right? If you know, you know. But this is where this conversation got really fucking interesting. Because he told me about different locations around the United States where he alleged that these facilities exist. And I don't think that I would become a target if I were to say where. But when I looked up where he mentioned in Los Angeles, let's just say I had instant goosebumps. I'm sure you know where that is. And I'm not going to say much more on TikTok, and I'm sure it's obvious as to why. I'll probably do a different post on X instead. Or just somewhere that's more unrestricted, somewhere on Flip, Rumble maybe. But I'm just curious, how much do we actually not know about?
But here's really the big news. And again, Sunday, when Trump came out and said, I don't know what's happened to Putin, but he's crazy, and he's bombing all over Ukraine for no reason, and I'm really upset, and I'm going to do something big, but I'm not going to tell you what, because you're the fake news. And I said, they tried to kill Putin when he was in Ukraine with 40-plus drones. And Ukraine is bragging in the last month now that they've doubled the amount of missile attacks and drone attacks into Russia, hitting Moscow on a daily basis. And then you don't really see that in our corporate media. And our media is like, wow, Putin's bombing, Ukraine government facilities and power stations for no reason. Why? And then Zelensky, for the Western media, is like, I'm not attacking, I'm doing nothing, I don't know what Putin's doing. It's on its face this is going on. And they have leftist publications going, Alex Jones is making it up. Ukraine's not doing anything. These are verified facts. So I said clearly, Trump's briefers, because this stuff, it's not on Fox News either. That's what Trump watches most. They're on all the channels, corporate media. Oh, for no reason, Putin's intensified his attacks. And now launched new offensives, taking more of a buffer zone. That's what Putin said he would do by this time if they didn't do a real peace deal. They want NATO to agree to never take over Ukraine. They want the U.S. to come in and take it over as a buffer zone. Putin's already agreed to that. And then Trump's like, great, let's do the deal. And Zelensky won't do it, and NATO won't do it. So those are the real facts. It's not my opinion. So then Lavrov, their foreign minister, came out yesterday and said, clearly Trump is being kept in the dark. Clearly he's not being given any of the information. And again, yesterday, Putin came out again and said, we want a pledge that NATO will never take over, that Ukraine will not enter it, that they'll have free and fair, open elections. Zelensky's a dictator. And we're going to keep Crimea that we took in 2014, and before that was always part of Russia, until Lenin gave it away in the 30s. And Trump's like, that sounds reasonable. Ukraine, if you're ready to give up those areas, they're not getting them back. Russia's not giving them up. And they're going to let the U.S. come in and run Ukraine. Like, well, that's imperial. Well, if we don't, it'll be NATO that wants to use it for a war. And so we would get rid of the corruption to some extent. And if you think we're corrupt, Ukraine's even worse. And that's what's happening. That's the peace deal. A Marshall Plan where we use the Ukrainians' own resources, rare earth minerals, oil and gas, to rebuild it. So the taxpayer money. The globalist plan is to have us rebuild it, and it'll just be a big money laundering scheme continuing. So if you're informed, you know all of these pieces. If you're not, you just hear in the news, for no reason, Putin has intensified attacks.
The higher up you go in success, money, wealth, fame, the more you have to sacrifice. And I mean that quite literally. See, the thing is, you're going to be joining a very, very selective club when you reach that amount of success. This very selective club is not ruled by your average human being who has empathy and care. They may look human, but they don't have an ounce of humanity in them. These people overtake the media companies, health and wellness, especially healthcare, transportation services, water services, anything you can think of, they have their grubby hands on. They don't operate through the same rules that the rest of humanity do. And if you are lucky enough to somehow reach that amount of wealth, you either join them or they, you. And even if you try to run away, they will find a way to, you. In this video, I'm going to be specifically talking about the media companies that they overtake and rule, since the Diddy trials are going on. Now, through my intuition, and I'm pretty sure just, other people's common sense as well, Diddy is just the face of the evil that's going on. There are more people in control of all of this above him. And of course, they're going to put him as the scapegoat. Not to say he didn't do any of this, he totally did. That man is evil. But they would rather have one public person go down than let the rest of the world know that this is what you need to do to join the club. Do you want to have all of these privileges, or you're going to have to be just as screwed up as we are? Think of it like a fraternity. When you join a fraternity, they do a lot of hazing. They make you do a lot of weird, freaky stuff, some illegal. This is the kind of mentality you have with these people up there. Same thing with the music industry. A lot of people have to sell their souls, aka sell their integrity, and sign contracts with actual demonic forces to rise up in fame as almost like a barter system. Like it's a blackmail. And for those of you who think all of these celebrities have free will, they don't. Because like I said, to join this club, you need to give away your free will, your humanity, and your sanity. They are never going to let you join this club if you disobey them. Because once you disobey them, off with your head. Now, if you are spiritual enough, you know the people who are up there. They're not necessarily what you call 100% human. They are a hybrid of some sort. I'll just leave it at that. These hybrids see themselves as above and superior to the rest of you. You are their energy source, you are their food source. So for you to think that you can be elite like them, you have to be initiated to show them that you don't see humanity as humane at all. You see humanity as something to be used. So to those of you who want to embark on this powerful journey of wealth, fame, success, think twice. You think they're really going to easily allow you to be in this? They're not. They will make you do a lot of heinous things so they could hold it over your head so you can never escape. And on top of that, they make you sign a contract with their Lord and Savior, the hellish realms. If you would like to learn more about these entities, these fallen angelics, what these hybrids really are made of, my book, Made in God's Image, talks about everything you need to know that I cannot say here online. I've been banned on so many social media platforms, I'm not trying to do it again. Link to my book in my bio. Truth is stranger than fiction.
So I feel like
I think it's more, it's not like the rich, the wealthy. It is, but it's more the people that want that, but also want the fame, the power to be in those circles that are, famous people. Because there's people, believe it or not, that will do anything. They say it on their social media, they say it on TV, whatever. I will do whatever it takes to do such and such, right? I will be whatever, to hang out with those people, to drive that car, to be with this girl. I will do whatever, right? There's some people there that do that, and those are the people they go after. There's some people that just low key, y'all, like, I walk by you and you won't even know who you're walking next to, right? There's people like that. So I think it's more the people that want the fame, the power, the ones that want to go to those parties, the ones that, want to be in that type of control, that power. Those are the ones they get to sign in blood, y'all.
generation doesn't really go to the doctor as much, and I think the older generation is very confused by this. I get a lot of questions. When was the last time you went to the doctor? Oh, it's been 8 months. Why don't you go back to the doctor? I heard your brother hasn't gone to the doctor. Why not? I'm going to explain to you why younger people don't go to the doctor. Money. It's because it's not a health decision. It is a financial decision. And before I go off on this, I'm not encouraging anybody not to go to the doctor. You absolutely should. It's like a necessity. You have to. You should get your screens. You should do all those things. But here's why we don't want to. It costs money. We don't have a lot of money. So it puts us in this juxtaposition literally perpetually. Every single time we get sick, every single time we get hurt, every single time we feel a little bit of what's that? It's somewhere in there. Of going, how much is this thing bothering me versus how much am I willing to pay to get it fixed? And unless the answer is like, I literally can't function, I'm probably just going to wait for this thing to resolve on its own or take me out. All right? Because even in a situation where it's like, I broke my ankle, I still don't want you to call an ambulance. I'll limp my way to the damn doctor. I don't want you to call an ambulance because I don't want to wind up with a $3,000 bill for nothing. Okay?
Ambulance, yeah.
So I don't think older generations quite have grasped this yet, where where they think, oh, you have insurance, you're insured, so the doctor doesn't cost money. That is not what happens at the doctor. You go to the doctor because you're already sick, you're already feeling like crap, something's already wrong, and then you have to go through all the stress, all the inconvenience of calling them and then calling the insurance, and then the insurance isn't going to pay for it, and then you got to call somebody else to see if the insurance will pay for it, and by the way, long story short, they won't. Nobody will. Or they'll pay for like 10% of something that they said they were originally going to pay for most of it. All while you're paying several $100s a month to allegedly cover the thing that you're not supposed to. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? This is why people don't go, why do I want to deal with that? We already have enough stress. We already have enough stuff going on. I got to wait 3 months to get an appointment for a doctor, only to get charged a crazy amount of money for something. Just whatever. If it takes me out, it takes me out.
Especially this eye doctors insurance, dental insurance with your company. I remember I had that. I was all excited. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get dental and still got to pay a lot. It's cheaper to pay out of pocket to get your teeth cleaned. I mean, I'm sure if you have like a root canal or, something serious like that, like insurance, it might come through, but that's very rare. Most of the time I go to the dentist. All the time I go to the dentist. It's just for teeth cleaning, right? Costs like $70-$80 for a teeth cleaning, right? But I know Mama Bear got dental and vision. I told her, don't get that. Don't get that. You're going to pay, I don't know, let's just say $100 a pay period, and when you go get those contacts or you go get those glasses, you're still gonna be paying an arm and a leg. Sure enough, she brought up the other day, like, once it's time to redo this or whatever, I'm canceling that because it's just a scam, y'all. It's a scam. It's annoying, but that's America's health system.
Former child star Billy Gilman here. In late 2001, I was asked to perform at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. to benefit those lives lost at 9/11. Upon my arrival, I was greeted by none other than Pink and Steven Tyler, and Steven Tyler proceeded to say, "Did you stick your hair in a socket? You have better hair than I do." The more you know.
You might not believe it, but this might be an actual vampire in New Orleans. I'm sure we've all heard about the story of the Carter brothers that in the 1930s claimed to be vampires and eventually get executed. However, the story with New Orleans and vampires go a lot deeper and dark. Let me show you. In scripture, we find that the life of the flesh is in the blood, specifically in the Old Testament. And unfortunately, a lot of the occultists know about this power and this thing, where the blood is basically the bridge between the spiritual and the material world. And this woman here is Helena Blavatsky, one of the most famous Satanists in the 1900s. And she, in fact, has some relationship with New Orleans, and let me show you. You see the symbol here? This is a symbol of theosophy, and this is straight up occultism, and they work a lot with blood, which, I guess it makes sense if it's Helena Blavatsky starting this out. And I'm going to be showing you who is also a theosopher. This guy right here is Jack St. Germain, the notorious guy from New Orleans who claimed to be a vampire. Now, the story with this guy goes is his actual name is Count St. Germain, but he tried to conceal and hide his real name because he, in fact, was alive in the 1700s, where he actually claimed to be himself a Jesuit. And that in and of itself is a complete rabbit hole that I'm going to be getting into another video. Don't forget to like and follow me for more stories like this.
I'm remembering when I was on Drink Champs, and then again, I have to think this, so Nori, don't think I'm beefing with you, but I just have to reflect. and I was on Drink Champs, and Nori was so adamant about me drinking Ciroc.
No, I can't do that no more.
No, it's yours, man.
It's over because.
No.
No, that's not the interview. Come on, Dane.
How about this? We'll finish it with a shot of some.
Can you show Elliot Wilson for me? Well, let's take a shot of vodka. No,
done?
let's take a shot of vodka, Dane.
Are we done though?
Vodka.
Well, I mean, I know it's needed, but do another one.
You gotta do a shot of vodka. Come on,
at
please.
the end, we're not done.
I fought with you the whole night. You guys won.
I said when we finish, we're not done.
No, Tito, help me. Come on. He's clean. I'm with you. I'm in with you. Can you want me a shot too, Dan?
But why you gotta put the ice in the shot?
Because you gotta be sophisticated.
All right, you're gonna have ice cubes. I don't know how you're gonna have to do a shot with ice cubes. All right, you're gonna have ice cubes. I don't know how you're gonna have to do a shot with ice cubes.
Yes, you gotta do a fucking shot with ice cubes.
Big shout out to
This
Puff,
is good
man.
shit. Oh, no, that's good. That's good. I'm sorry. All right, and you gonna take a shot? You gonna take a shot, Ciroc?
Go ahead, pour it.
Oh, you want me to pour you? He's a gangster. When a nigga tell you he want him to pour you a shot, that's some gangster.
I just poured yours, right?
All right, well, we even. Look. You gonna take mine? Oh, look at that. Oh man, that's good. Eye to eye. I told you.
What do you mean? Why do you think it's not?
I don't know why I keep doing this show. It's not proper. I don't know this. I went to Runyon Canyon today, and I was like, why did I do this? Like, what did I accomplish?
So I'm remembering Nori so adamant about me taking a shot of Ciroc, and I'm like, nah. And I brought my own. And now y'all can understand why I always want to make my own. So I brought my own liquor. You know what I'm saying? I was taking shots of my own. And then what happened, I made him take shots of Ciroc, and then he ended up getting too drunk, talking about take your shirt off and all this type shit. It's on tape.
I recently got attacked by the PCOS community because I put out a intentionally hyperbolic video. It was meant to be humorous. It was not received humorous by everybody. And a few really, really substantial PCOS creators attacked me for it. Yeah. And some of which are great creators who I like, and others who I think prey on women and their emotion around their illness and ailment. And do those things like PCOS and thyroid conditions have an impact on your caloric output, your food? Absolutely. They have an impact, but they don't change the rules of the game. Yeah. And that's what I said in a fewer, more humorous words. I said, if you don't have a thyroid problem, you have an elbow problem. Every time your elbow bends, your mouth opens. And that got some laughs. But for every one person who is pissed that, no, you are a hater of women or you don't acknowledge disease, there was a woman who said, I have PCOS and Hashimoto's and I've lost 50 pounds tracking my calories. You're right. It's about getting to the truth that will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. And that's what was happening.
Let's just call it what it is. Okay. They're closing Job Corps because they want young adults who don't come from money to either join the military, go into crime so that they can go into prison where they can be worked for free under the 13th Amendment, or if neither of those, be so desperate that they take terrible jobs with terrible wages and no worker protections and have a massive fear of organizing. Like, I don't really see what else the option could be, because Job Corps is not a huge drain on the U.S. budget. It's like a drop inside of a drop inside of a drop inside of the bucket. You know, it's tiny, and it's about as much of a net good of a social program as you can imagine. Job Corps' number one function is to ensure that people who come from certain zip codes and from households with a certain income don't end up on government benefits later. It's like how the number is something like, for every dollar that we spend with the IRS, we get like $6 back. Like, I would be surprised if Job Corps is not similar in terms of the ROI. This is done for nothing more than cruelty and ripping the rug out from underneath hard-working kids. This is evil.
There's a place that we'll go to at some point in Colorado called Chimney Rock. It's two natural pillars. Huge pillars are 1,000 feet above the valley floor, and they're connected by a ridge. And you can go up that ridge, and where the ridge sort of flattens out before you get to these two huge pinnacles of rock, there's the remnants of an ancient structure there, an ancient kiva that would have been built by the Chacoan people. And this was one of the Chacoan outliers, part of the whole Chacoan civilization that was pretty much covered the 10,000 square miles of the San Juan Basin in New Mexico, whose hub was Chaco Canyon. And there was a whole series of outliers that were places of observation, high pinnacle points that would have been probably used as a communication system. But at Chimney Rock, remains of a kiva are there, and if you position yourself at the right location within that kiva, which is circular, you peer through those two pinnacle rocks, and it marks that position. You will see the moon rising in between those two rocks. And that's coming up later this year.
He had a major lawsuit against three, the most powerful pharmaceutical industries during that time, going back to the year 2020. The NSAID Therapeutic Corporation, INSYS, out of Chandler, Arizona. The Acorn Pharmaceutical industry, which is now defunct as of going back to 2023. And Acorn had bought high-tech pharmaceuticals out of Norcross, Georgia, whose owner, Jared Wheat, is being investigated by the FBI and the SEC for insider trading. Why would Kobe go after these pharmaceutical corporations who are owned by one of the most powerful entities on this earth, the Novartis AG Group out of Basel, Switzerland, who does the drug testing for the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball, you see. So Kobe was a threat to the system.
It's pretty crazy too how there's like they gave away like I forgot everything, but they've given away a helicopter. He's been in like cartoons where he's in the helicopter and it crashes. Like a lot of weird symbolism things that came to life. How he was offed, right? It's kind of eerie.
I'm sorry. What's the point of fucking health insurance if you have to pay full price until you meet a deductible?
It's a scam.
My deductible is $6,000. I have to spend $6,000 in medical expenses before everything is taken care of and there's no copays. But yet I pay for that insurance. I pay $350 a month for that insurance. Huh? What? I'm sorry. Make that make sense. That makes absolutely no sense in my head. I have to pay full price for all medical expenses, which every year I'm not going to spend $6,000. Huh? What?
So I'm at Kroger. I'm picking up a prescription. I got insurance. Last time I was here, I didn't have insurance, and they gave me this discount card, and it was $25. So I'm like, heck, I got insurance. Let's see what the deal is this time. Maybe it'll be better. And they run it, and they tell me with insurance, which is a really expensive insurance plan, it's $105. So I said, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and put that discount card back in? Thank goodness for insurance.
All right, fam. There you have today's video. Didn't do too much talking today. I don't know what it was. I couldn't find where to jump in and jump out in the video. I tried to towards the end, but it just wasn't there, y'all. It's one of those days today. It's Monday, right? I got the baby on mine. He just woke up, popped up on the little camera, so I got to get in there. It's feeding time, y'all, but hopefully he'll let me edit real quick and upload before I have to go down there and feed him. But anyways, y'all, if you made it this far, you know what to do. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the love you guys have been showing. This is Segovia. I'm signing out of the man cave. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow for another one. Later.